Well, this is a team that confuses the shit out of me. There are some nights where I'm like, you know what, this is not gonna be it this year. And those nights last. And it turns into a week where I'm just like, all right, this is a team that should move on from a lot of not just players but personnel in the organization. And then there are days, stretches where you're like, I can see it. You're like, I can see why an optimist would be an optimist. And this is like, I feel like I've had a clear opinion on every Yankees team over the last 5-6 years. Since I've been doing this podcast, I feel like every year we've had a pretty good opinion on who the Yankees have been. I've been like, okay, this is not the team for the most part. Right. And then 2017, I was like, all right, this team has a chance. But like, I knew like they probably weren't going to win it because the Astros were just more well-rounded for a different reason. But this year's Yankees team is so tough for me to just like get a legitimate final one opinion on. And I guess, the season's not over, but like usually by this time, I'm like, all right, they're going to win the World Series, or they're going to have a chance to win the World Series, or they're not going to come close. And I guess that's the positive, is like, I'm not there yet where I can't just rule them out of winning a World Series. And so I want to talk about all of that. We've missed a lot of episodes this year. I do apologize for that. I've been very busy with work. I'm just coming back from vacation, so that's why we missed the last 2 series. But we'll get to everything we need to in this one. Episode 700. Welcome. We are 700 episodes into this garbage little podcast that nobody tunes into, but I do it for fun. I do it for a little scuttle. And I appreciate anybody who does tune in at all. So episode 700, we're going to talk Yankees, Rangers. They take 2 from the defending champs. Talk about one of the bigger flukes of all time. But the Yankees take 2 from them at Yankee Stadium. Should have been 3, but they did take 2. They won the series. Can't complain too much. We're going to talk about that one here in episode 700 of BD4. So let's get into the show. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for 3. On the neophyte.
You guys trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding.
That is it.
It's over. Don't you regret not coming to the net? Don't you regret not coming to the net? Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Oh, Maron. All right, folks. All right. Let's talk Yankees. Episode 700 of the show. The Yankees take 2. They rebound against the Rangers. After a tough series loss to the Angels, which still annoys me that they lost that series. But yeah, like I was saying at the top of the show, this is a very confusing Yankees team. We'll get to my overall consensus maybe later, but it's good to take 2 out of 3 to win a series. They improved to 70-49. Okay. A really, really good record, and they're now even with Baltimore at the top of the American League East, but they're technically still in second place because Baltimore holds the tiebreaker over them with the extra win and the season series. But they've got a big week ahead with an opportunity to do more damage than the Yankees do. We'll talk more on that upcoming schedule later in the show. But yes, I don't want to sound like a spoiled Yankees fan, although I like that label. It means I'm competitive, because they are 70-49. When I mean confusing, I just mean for a team that's expected to and has the goal of winning a championship. It's tough to judge this team, but yeah, it's been a hell of a season of many streaks, and we're now here. So we're going to talk about this series against the Rangers, some in-house stuff before we begin. Jason Dominguez, Cashman spoke on him recently again, and he said that he's healthy. But Cashman also said that he does not see a clear lane for Dominguez right now, which means at best he'll be up here in September, because the Yankees also get a first-round pick if they wait until then. But he said there's not a clear lane. I don't know what it is with the Yankees and the term lane. Like Boone loves to use that term regarding his relief pitching, and that's what Cashman said. There's not a clear lane for Dominguez right now. So there's that. I don't understand why, because listen, I like Alex Verdugo, but Alex Verdugo is a rental outfielder who has a 680 OPS. There should be no reason that's what's blocking Jason Dominguez. And I don't care if Jason Dominguez is currently not hitting well in AAA since he got back. I don't care about that. You can screw off with the minor league numbers. I don't take minor league statistics seriously, especially a small sample. And also, look at guys who hit well in the minors. A lot of Yankees have these excellent, what we like to call quadruple A players. Guys who rake in the minor leagues and they come up here and they don't do jack. I never took minor league numbers seriously. I understand the basic logic is, well, if he's not hitting well down there, why would he hit well up here? Well, he came up last year and he hit pretty well against the teams that he was facing. Small sample size or not, when I look at Jason Dominguez, I don't look at numbers, I look at talent. I see the talent. I see the tool set he's got. I see the physical makeup, and this kid's got talent. And he should be up here because he's supposed to be one of their franchise cornerstones. Now, Cashman also said he's learning left field. I think he played a little left field today, which means that's the plan when he gets called up. Maybe if they wait until September and Verdugo's still not hitting, that's what they do, right? The plan should be that. The plan should be that when Dominguez does come up, he gets left field, Verdugo should go to the bench, and then maybe you DFA Trent Grisham. I don't think you're going to see them DFA Alex Verdugo at all. I just think it would make a lot of noise. I don't think it'd be the right move also, because he's got a track record of being a good hitter. So I think if anything, Verdugo's going to hit the bench, if anything. I don't know. Everything they've been saying regarding Dominguez this year hasn't really gotten me confident that he's going to be a big part of this team. And that's a shame, because I believe that he should be part of this team and he needs to be a part of that postseason roster. I think you need that. I think you need it. You got to look at where you are. Look at the era you're in. Look at the landscape. It's a young man's game now. The game, baseball today, is all about youth. This is a guy with youth, speed, power. He's a switch bat. He's electric. Get him up here. So that's regarding Dominguez. Other housekeeping stuff. You got Clark Schmidt, who's getting closer to a return. He's, I think, expected to start his rehab assignment on the 22nd of this month. As I record, it's August 11th. This episode should be out on the 12th. But he's expected to rehab in a few weeks, and then I think Cashman said that he'll maybe be back for early September. The first or second week. That's important because he needs to be stretched out. I want him to be part of the playoff rotation. I want him to be the fourth man. and I was hoping that he would be ready to pitch by August. When he initially went down, that was my hope. So I don't love hearing first week or two of September. I'm pretty sure that's what Cashman said. Yeah, like I want him getting at least 5 or 6 starts, like 25 to, I don't know, close to 40 innings before postseason ball. But if he's on pace to come back early September, that's like 4 starts if there are no stepbacks. So everything's got to go well just for him to get 4 starts. I don't know if that's going to be enough for him to be ready to start. Granted, they're in the postseason, modern baseball. The 4th starter is not going to go more than 4 or 5 innings, but I'm hoping he's ready. And then they got an update on Cody Poteet, really just saying he's a little further away than Clark Schmidt. So we'll see there. Lou Trevino starts a rehab assignment next week. Totally forgot about that guy. Scott Efros, I don't really know what the hell they're doing. They just said they're stashing him in the minors to revamp him. He's still trying to get back his stuff. He's currently down there, and his rehab's over. He's just pitching as a minor league pitcher right now. I don't understand why they're doing that. I guess he's just not ready. Trent Grisham was hit in the hand with a pitch in game 1 of this series. He left the game. Test results came back negative. Nothing's broken. But he didn't return this series. I think he's okay, though. And then Anthony Rizzo, there's not much of an update there. Still working his way back. I guess that's going to be September something. And yes, we did miss the last 2 series. So against the Toronto Blue Jays, I tipped my cap in that series to Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, and Luke Weaver. Those guys got my salutes in that Toronto series. And then against the Angels, just before this series against Texas, I tipped my cap to Alex Verdugo, Luis Gil, and Clay Holmes. So those were the last 2 series, Toronto and LA. But we're going to dive into this series, Yankees, Texas. Again, the Yankees take 2 out of 3 at home against the Rangers. And we'll talk about this series as soon as we return from our first break here on the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on BD4.
Hey there. Thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Episode 700 of BD4. I appreciate you all tuning in, listening to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. And let's dive into this, man, because the Yankees just took 2 out of 3 against the Rangers, the defending champions, at home in New York City. And they took the first game 8-0. This was the first game of a twin bill doubleheader. First game was 1, second game 4:30. First game here, 8-0 Yankees win. Carlos Rodon, the left-hander, taking on veteran right-hander Nathan Eovaldi. And the Yankees did pretty well against Texas with 8 runs on 12 hits, 4 extra base hits, 6 walks, 9 strikeouts, and they went 5 for 15 with runners in scoring position. They scored 3 runs against Eovaldi. Eovaldi only won 3 innings. And then the Texas bullpen, the Yankees hit them pretty well too for 5 runs in the remaining 5 innings. But the bottom of the first inning, the Yankees got to Eovaldi right away. Gleyber Torres with an RBI base hit to right field, 1-0. Bottom of the third, Austin Wells, a 2-run double to right center field, 3-0 Yankees. And then that was it for Eovaldi. Bottom of the fourth, you had Burke in the game for the Rangers. But Judge ripped an RBI double down the left field line and make it 4-0. And then Austin Wells again after him, producing with a 2-run single up the middle. That made it 6-0 Yankees. Bottom 5, you got Juan Soto with an RBI, 7-0. And then bottom of the 8th inning comes Anderson's in the game for the Rangers. And you have Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm with a solo home run to make it 8-0. And there are your 8 runs right there. Soto goes 1 for 3, 2 walks, an RBI. Verdugo 1 for 4 with a walk. Judge goes 3 for 4 in this game. A double, a walk, an RBI. Austin Wells, 2 for 5, a double, 4 RBIs. Glaber was 1 for 5 with an RBI. Jazz Chisholm, 2 for 4, home run, walk, RBI. Oswaldo Cabrera, 1 for 2 with a double. Carlos Rodon, he went 2 outs into the 6th inning in this game. We will talk more on Carlos Rodon later in the show, so stay tuned for that. And then the bullpen combined to go 3 1/3 innings, no runs. You had Marinaccio go 2 1/3, no runs, 3 strikeouts, a hit. We'll talk about him later. And then you had Tim Hill going an inning, 1 hit allowed, no runs. And that was game 1 where the Yankees won 8-0. But they lost the second game of this doubleheader, 9-4. You had the right-hander Garrett Cole going up against the lefty Bradford. Yankee bats scored 4 runs in this game, 8 hits, 3 extra base hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. They hit into 1 double play, and they were 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Against Bradford, they only scored 1 run on him in 5 innings, but they did get to the Texas bullpen for 4 runs in 3 innings. Bottom of the second was their only run against Bradford when Jazz Chisholm picked up a base hit, then he stole a base. Then you had Gleyber Torres knocking him in with an RBI base hit to right field again. The Yankees didn't score again until the 8th inning, where they were already down. But you had Jazz and Stanton go back-to-back for home runs. That made it 9-4 Texas. But that was it. Verdugo, Stanton, Jazz Chisholm, and Gleyber Torres were all 2 for 5. Stanton had 2 RBIs, a double. Jazz and Gleyber had an RBI each. Every other Yankee in the game, besides those 4, were hitless. This was their lineup against the lefty, where they didn't have Rice. DJ was at first. There was no Wells because it was the doubleheader, so Narvaez was catching. Cabrera was not playing, and excuse me. And that was that. But this was a game I got very upset at because Garrett Cole was pitching really well, and he was cucked by Aaron Boone. He had 90 pitches with 1 out in the 6th inning. He just got a pretty quick pop-up. Nobody on base. Got the out, and he pulls him. I thought he was supposed to be stretching out. He's been back for a while now. 90 pitches probably shouldn't be the limit. I don't care what loser, virgin nerd thinks about this. Like, anybody with a mind, anybody who's played baseball before knows that, like, you should probably, 10 plus pitches is not going to cause his arm to fall off. In a game like this, you have to have a little baseball feel. I know that's like any Zoomer out there has no idea what feel is because you grew up in, in this era, you're an iPad kid, but like, yeah, have a little bit of a feel. And Luke Weaver, I get he's been good, but Garrett Cole is Garrett Cole. But he pulls Garrett Cole 1 out in the 6th inning with 10 strikeouts. And Weaver comes in and he immediately blows the game. Didn't get the greatest defense behind him. Soto, not great. Jazz Chisholm. But it's 6-1 Texas all of a sudden because the Yankees played Boone ball. No feel for the game. And then Tonkin comes in after that, and he kind of puts the game to bed after. So that was really that. But Garrett Cole was a positive. 5 1/3 innings, 1 run, 6 hits, 2 walks. But he struck out 10, didn't allow a home run. 90 pitches, and he unfortunately picked up the no decision. Excuse me. Yeah, top of the 4th inning, he escaped further trouble with 3 strikeouts. It was good to see that. Right, he allows the single to Langford off of a fastball up in the zone. Then he has the 7-pitch walk to Lau. I forget which one that was. You get a mound visit by Matt Blake, and then he lets up the RBI single to Garcia. But then after that, he locks in and strikes out 3 in a row to the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. There was a lot of cutter four seam in there. So he looked good. He's starting to look like himself again. I just need to see the distance. But the fastball velo looks great lately. The fastball, the four-seamer is getting hit a lot less in his recent starts. He's got better command of it. The curveball's got great shape to it right now. He got a ton of swing and miss on that. He was getting a lot of swing and miss on the slider too. That looked strong. So Garrett Cole, in 4 of his last 5 starts, has looked like Garrett Cole. He went 6 innings, 1 run at Camden Yards. He won 6 innings, 1 run against the Rays at home. Then he had the Mets implosion, but he won 5 2/3, 2 runs against the Jays. And now this start, 5 1/3, 1 run, 10 strikeouts. So I just need length next, and part of that's him being more efficient, but hopefully the Yankees can start stretching him out because they do need that for when he gets into the postseason. They need him to beat Garrett Cole, prime Garrett Cole. But he looks good, man. It's just, the cutters continuing to get hit. I've never liked Garrett Cole's cutter. It's a pitch that Matt Blake has incorporated into his arsenal. It's kind of replaced his sinker, which he barely threw. He's now throwing a cutter as his 5th pitch. It's a bad pitch. It's been a bad pitch for him. It's got odd movement to it. O'Neill mentioned it too. It kind of comes back into the middle of the plate. Like a cutter for a righty is supposed to move down glove side, and it kind of retreats back to the middle after. It gets hit. It's been getting hit ever since he incorporated it in 2022. His cutter over the course of his career now, Garrett Cole, 286 batting average against in a 514 slugging. So, I don't know. It's not his greatest pitch. And he's just, I don't know. I don't like seeing him throw that cutter. It just doesn't really give me any confidence. But he looked good. The first game with Narvaez behind the plate, you could see there was a little bit of frustration early on, but they worked through it. There was one at-bat where he struck somebody out on a slider, points to Narvaez, is kind of like, yep, that's the way. So they were working well as the game progressed and made corrections, and it's just unfortunate they lost that damn game. And the Yankees need to Cole games were like a thing they need to win. Last year that was a big point of emphasis. They got to win Cole games, and now they're 5-4 on the year in Garrett Cole games. They have 2 losses against the Mets, 1 loss against this Texas team now, and they got to win those games. So it hurts when you can't win games with your $300 million ace on the mound. But that was the second game of the series where the Yankees lost. Fortunately, they won Game 3 earlier today, 8-7. It was a crazy roller coaster. You had the righty Stroman going up against the former Yankee lefty Andrew Heaney. The Yankees got 8 runs in this game on 12 hits, 5 extra base hits, 3 walks, 2 sac flies, 6 strikeouts only, and they were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They scored 4 runs on Heaney in 4 2/3 innings. Then they got to the Ranger bullpen for 4 runs in 3 1/3 innings. Bottom 1, Stanton, sac fly to make it 1-0. Bottom 3, Juan Soto, a 2-out solo home run, made it 2-0. Bottom 5, Stanton, a 3-run jack against the Texas bullpen on a crazy swing. Nobody else makes contact on a slider low and kind of away like Stanton can. The way he swings the bat is so unorthodox, but he's got such strength that it just leaves the park quickly. It was 115 off the bat. Made it 5-0 Yankees, and this was right after an intentional walk to Judge, so that's a good thing. Bottom 6, DJ LeMahieu, a sac fly off of the second pitcher in relief for the Rangers, Festa. It's 6-1 Yankees after that. Bottom 7, Soto and Judge go back-to-back with home runs. It's 8-3 Yankees after that. So there's your offense. Judge, 3 for 3. A walk, a home run, an RBI, a stolen base. Soto, 2 for 5. Couple home runs, couple RBIs. DJ LeMahieu, 2 for 3. Sac fly, an RBI. Wells, 1 for 4. Doubled. Gleyber Torres was 1 for 3 with a walk. Jazz Chisholm, 1 for 4. Stolen base. Giancarlo Stanton, 1 for 2 with a home run, a walk, and 4 RBIs. Marcus Stroman pitched in this game. He won 5+. He rebounded nicely. 5+ innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 3 walks, a strikeout, 89 pitches in the win. I thought he needed this. He's been struggling for so long. But in this game, he was nibbling confidently and precisely. when you've got bad, underwhelming stuff like Marcus Stroman does, you're going to have to, that's the way you're going to have to pitch. Nibble and hit the corners and stay away from the middle of the plate. If he's staying away from the middle of the plate, he's a fun pitcher to watch. But it's hard because he's got really bad stuff. And that's why I still don't want him in my playoff. I love Stroman. I love the energy. I love how he pitches when he's on. But like, I still don't want him in my playoff rotation just because he's a soft thrower. And the Yankees have two soft throwers who've got no movement. Like, Stroman doesn't have a lot of movement on his pitches, and he doesn't have a lot of velo. Nestor Cortez, another soft thrower with inconsistent command. Like, they have two of those guys, and I just don't love that. So hopefully Stroman's not in the playoff rotation. I have a bad feeling because of his contract, he might be, and because of who he is, and I don't think they want to make that a problem. Like, I don't know, man. I'm a little concerned there. But, you know, he wears out at the end of these seasons, and it was very refreshing to finally get a good start from him because you were hoping it wasn't going to get worse and worse. But he won 5+ and was solid. The bullpen, however, was not solid. They combined to go 4 innings, and they gave up 6 runs. Cousins, 1 inning, 1 run, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts. He was fine. Top of the 6th, he escapes the jam without significant damage. You know, Stroman walks a batter, and then he lets up a double. That's when Cousins comes in. He picks up a strikeout, allows the inherited runner to score off of an RBI base hit. So it's 6-1, but then he gets out of it with 2 strikeouts in a row. And then he comes back in the top of the 7th, allows a leadoff base hit to Garcia, and he's pulled for Tommy Kahnle, who goes an inning, allows 1 run, 2 hits, a strikeout. He was also so-so. Because he comes in, it's top of the 7th. Cousins is runners on first base. It's a 6-1 game. But he hangs a changeup to Kelly for a base hit. Puts runners on first and second, 1 out. Then he hangs another changeup to Smith for a base hit. Now the bases are loaded with no outs. This was like a slow rolling bunt to Jazz that he couldn't glove. And then the very next play, Jazz makes the E5 when he cuts in front of Volpe, tries to field a ground ball. Ball, I think, goes under his glove, gets into the outfield, and all of a sudden 2 runs score, and it's 6-3 Yankees. Mark Leiter's then in the game in the top of the 8th. Kind of does an awful job. His final line, 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs on 3 hits, 2 homers, a walk, 2 strikeouts. You know, he allows the home run to Lowe off of the splitter. It's 8-4. Then he walks the number 8 hitter, Tavares. And then he allows a 2-run home run to Kelly, the number 9 hitter, on a sinker up in the zone, and it's 8-6. Matt Blake comes out to visit the mound, and then following the mound visit, he lets up a double to Smith on a bad splitter. And right then, he's pulled for Clay Holmes to get the 4-out save. Boone playing with fire. Holmes escapes the 8th inning, but the 9th inning was tough for him. He finishes 1 1/3 innings, 1 run on a hit, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Top of the 9th inning comes. He gets 2, swinging strikeouts on that sweeper. Two pretty good-looking strikeouts using the sweeper. But then Clay Holmes kicks into the bad Clay Holmes gear, where he walks Langford, and then he walks Lowe right after that. And then Langford steals second base, so you got second and third, 2 outs. Then he lets up an RBI base hit to Garcia up the middle, and it's 8-7. Rangers come within 1 run. So now you got first and third, 2 outs. Tavares at the plate. Fortunately, he gets a ground ball. This is to Gleyber Torres, who almost fucks it up. You could see something happen with the ground ball, but he eventually makes the play, and the Yankees win. We'll talk about Clay Holmes. We'll talk about the bullpen in a little bit. But that was it. The Yankees win. They secure the series victory, 2 out of 3. In what was a wild 9th inning, 8th inning, 7th inning. Like, the ending of that game was a lot closer than I had the run line. I had everything else on my parlay perfectly hit. I was about to get $75. I just needed the run line. They were up 6-1. I locked it. It was a lock. I wonder what the odds were at that point in the game to not get the run line. And then somehow I didn't get the run line because they only won by 1 run. Oh, it was so frustrating. It is such a me thing. Only I lose like this. But I want to go back to some positives because I want to start by tipping my cap to Carlos Rodon. I thought Carlos Rodon, that's not Carlos Rodon, that's Aaron Judge. Here he is. I thought Carlos Rodon looked very good. Game 1, go back to yesterday, the first game of the doubleheader. Carlos Rodon, 5 2/3 innings, no runs, on 3 hits, 5 walks, but he struck out 6, didn't allow a home run, threw 110 pitches, and he picked up the win. So the 110 pitches, the 5 walks, it's he struggled with deep counts again. That's the one thing he's had issues with. It's deep counts. Sometimes his confidence isn't there with the fastball. Sometimes it's a little too many 2-strike waste pitches. Where it's like you have the capability at least to throw 99. Go to that thing more. Top of the second you saw he got into a lot of deep counts, some walks, lets up the base hit to Garcia. He escapes the bases loaded jam by inducing a pop-up on a curveball. And then top of the 3rd inning, gets into a 2-out jam with a walk and then a base hit to Young. But he escapes the traffic jam with a beautiful dotted 99-mile-an-hour fastball low and away to Langford. And that's what I want to see more of. When you got 2 strikes, sometimes don't be afraid to keep going to that fastball. His fastball velo looks good. And you pair that with his changeup, which is a really good pitch when he's throwing that changeup away from the right-handed batter. It's a sick pitch. So that's a good combo that's been working for him lately. He's getting a lot more swing and miss lately. His last 8 starts, he's got 59 strikeouts and 42 2/3 innings. So he's using the changeup, which has always been in his back pocket. But now he's starting to use it, and I love seeing that pitch utilized the way it is against righties. I keep checking his baseball savant here and there. And earlier in the year, when he had the ERA in the low 3s, his savant was actually very blue. But it's starting to like him now because he's getting those swing and misses, and the pitches are really being mixed up well, and there's a lot more red when you go on his baseball savant. I think the only things that don't love him is just the barrel percentages, the hard hit percentages, and the exit velo. He gets, when they make contact, it's hard contact, but I think a lot of that's because he throws the fastball a ton, right? So the good thing about Carlos Rodon this year is obviously he's always going to be very fastball heavy, but he's mixing it up more. And I think he's still struggled at times to find the balance between mixing it up a little more and staying true to who I am. But, this year he's finding much more of a mix where I feel like the last 3 seasons he's thrown the fastball 60% or more. I think last year, the year before that, and then 3 years ago it was like 58% usage. But this year, he's down to 50% usage on the fastball. He's got the slider still. It's his secondary, but then he's got a bunch of tertiaries that he can mix in, the changeup and the cutter, and then the curveball occasionally. That's what we want. So it was a big outing for him. He had hit that rough patch from like mid-June to mid-July where he really wasn't good. He had a bunch of terrible outings in there, and then he had some mediocre ones, but now you go and look at his last 4 outings, and he's got a 2.22 ERA. 7 innings, 1 run against the Rays, 6 1/3, 2 runs at Fenway Park. Boston's got a good lineup. They're a top 5 offense. 5 1/3, 3 runs against Toronto, and then now 5 2/3, no runs against the Rangers. So that was good. It was promising to see that. He's starting to instill a little more confidence in me. And I love when Carlos Rodon's going well because I can like him, because I love the passion and energy that he shows on the mound towards umpires, sometimes towards Boone. I like it when he's going well. When he's not going well, I want to be like, dude, who the fuck you think you are? I want to like this guy a lot. And it's good to see him hopefully find his form. Sorry. Thought we were on mute for a second. That scared the shit out of me. I would have been really pissed if I had to re-record this damn thing. Almost lost my track. I did lose my track. Here we are. Okay. Carlos Rodon continuing to do his thing. And let's go to his season statistics where he's 13-7 on the year, which is a .650 win percentage. The ERA down to 4.18. The whip a little high at 1.22. But you've seen the strikeouts start to come. He's now got 143 Ks in 131 in the third innings. So that's a positive. And this is all across 24 starts for Rodon. But yes, tipping my cap to him. And this is his 8th time getting saluted this season. So it's his 8th cap tip. I want to see him continue to do this. And hopefully he can do this against top lineups more. But that's a good start. 4 starts in a row now where Carlos Rodon looks more like the guy the Yankees paid him to be. And while we're tipping our cap, let's go to Aaron Judge. Because Aaron Judge, I mean, what else is there to be said? In this series, he goes 6 for 10, 600 with a 1692 OPS, a double, a homer, a couple RBIs, 3 walks, of course. Only 2 strikeouts, 5 runs scored, stole a base. And this is in 3 games against Texas, where he played in all 3. He now has 12 cap tips on the year, tied with Juan Soto for the lead in the lineup. He's got, what's crazy to me is he's doing all this with a 328 batting average. In this landscape, in modern day baseball, where batting average is looked at as unimportant, and, you can count on one hand how many guys are batting over 300 now. The fact that Aaron Judge is, walking a ton, and the fact that he's got the power that he has, on pace to hit 50-something homers again, and he's doing that while batting if he was hitting 250 on a 50-homer pace, that's absurd. That's still really good. But he's doing this hitting 328. I like to make the analogy, like DJ LeMahieu, back when he was in his prime, when he was batting 330 for the Yankees, that felt so fun. That felt so good. This is that with 50 homer power, which is just absurd to me. And it's absurd because there are still, it's a small but loud group out there on social media, and the MLB page is trying to make this a narrative too. There are still human beings that are trying to make this MVP conversation a debate. I love Bobby Witt. I think Bobby Witt Jr. is great for the game of baseball because he's bringing back the 5-tool player who's not just about power. But it's not a conversation, man. There is no conversation where Bobby Witt should be in with Aaron Judge. Sorry. Any other year? Yeah. The conversation with Bobby Witt Jr. should be about who should be second in the MVP race, him or Soto. To be honest, that's more of a conversation I'd be willing to have. I'd probably go Witt, but you can make that conversation. There's no conversation with Witt and Judge. Bobby Witt's best feature as an MVP candidate, obviously he's well-rounded, but his best thing is people look at the 350 batting average or whatever it is now. Aaron Judge is hitting 328, and then he's going to end up with 55 homers. I'm taking a little less off the average when he's got the home run power, when he's got the ridiculous on base and slugging that he's got. I'm taking all that plus good defense. I'm sorry, you can't. There's only so much value that defense and fielding brings in modern baseball. Hitting is king. Hitting's always going to be king. So you look at Judge's bat, you look at Witt's bat, you look at everything else. There's more weight on certain things. It's not even, and Judge is ahead in every single category offensively. It's not even funny. It makes me mad how there are anybody at all, any individuals at all trying to make this a conversation, because it's not a conversation. The conversation's Witt and Soto for a second. It's crazy. But one thing I do like is that Judge is starting to get a little more production behind him in the order now. right? You're starting to see some guys produce after Aaron Judge. He's getting protection. He keeps getting intentionally walked. He got intentionally walked again today, but that might stop if you continue to get cleanup production, because the cleanup spots, it was pretty bad for the Yankees, but since Stanton has returned and Austin Wells has gone on this run that he's been on, they're getting production there. You know, you got a big hit from Giancarlo today after Judge gets intentionally walked. And Stanton's numbers since returning have been pretty good. In 9 games, he's batting .250 with 7 RBIs, 5 extra base hits, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts only. So he's kind of finding it pretty quickly. You know, he had a couple of offers at the start there, but there's been no 2-week slump that you usually get from Giancarlo when he comes back after an extended DL trip. Knock on wood, but you haven't gotten that. And Stanton is so important to this lineup, man. I mean, it's not a coincidence that the Yankees' record is always so good in games when he plays. This year, I think I saw they're 49-27. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I saw that today on social media when he plays. He's the X factor of the lineup. He was entering the season. That was my X factor. And so when he's healthy, he's productive. And if he has another good postseason, he's already got a .963 Yankee OPS in the playoffs. If he has another good postseason, man, am I going to be the most insufferable Stanton supporter out there? I'm going to be the biggest pompous asshole on social media. I'm going to be pushing Stanton propaganda if he has another good postseason for the Yankees this year. Let me just put that out there. He had a down postseason his last playoff, and he still led the team with 7 RBIs. Just saying. He's been good in the playoffs consistently. And people still hate this man for getting hurt in exhibition summer games. Just saying. So, I hope the world's going to be ready for me when Stanton has another good playoff run. And Austin Wells also producing behind Aaron Judge. His numbers on the season have gotten to be pretty strong. In 235 at-bats, he's batting .251 now with a .761 OPS, 8 home runs, and 33 RBIs. So for a guy who's not, he wasn't playing every day at one point, now starting to get consistent reps, and it's paying off because he's producing consistently. So I love when something about a good hitting catcher is just so fun to watch. And he's a good hitting catcher with decent catching. Like, he hasn't been a problem behind the plate. So Austin Wells, to have him swing that lefty bat, the line drive power that he's got, the good at-bats that he's putting together, it's so fun to watch a good hitting catcher on this Yankees team. So having him be a threat, awesome. So if those two guys continue to hit the way they're hitting, then, maybe that conversation goes away about flipping Soto and Judge in the order. That's kind of become a thing the last couple of weeks. People were talking about, should Judge bat before Soto so he doesn't get walked as much? I say keep this how it is, and let's ride this out for now. Because this you're starting to see this lineup show a little more depth, because depth was a problem earlier in the season, but you're seeing some production in these other spots. Right now, Judge and Soto are going to do their thing. Let's be real. This team's going to go as far as Judge and Soto take them. It's always going to be Judge and Soto getting the headlines. That was the plan. That was the idea when they went and got them in the offseason. To put 2 generational hitters back to back. And they're having historic seasons. Those guys, the plan was those guys were always going to carry. That was the plan. It's just you need the other guys. You need some of the other guys to just be productive. This is the point I hammered in the offseason. I hammered in the preseason. Judge and Soto will carry you. You just need good, solid production from a couple other guys in that batting lineup. That was what I was hammering all offseason long. And so right now, it finally seems like guys are starting to gel because you're getting some production from Jazz Chisholm since he's been here. You're getting production from Wells and Stanton. Legitimate at-bats. All those guys are north of 750 when you look at their OPS. Right? Jazz Chisholm is bringing the value that Jazz Chisholm was expected to bring. A little bit of lefty pop, but also speed and defense, right? Stealing bases, playing some good third base. He has some problems when he has to charge slower ground balls, but he's got the arm. He fields the hard hit balls pretty well, and he looks good at the plate. You're even getting some production from Torres and LeMahieu lately. Not production that I trust. I don't think that's going to be sustainable by them. I think Gleyber is who he is. He's had years where he's been good, and he's had years where he's not been good, so I can't really trust him. But he is on an 8-game hit streak, and he's got a 746 OPS in his last 31 games. So that's kind of my point. Like, it's mid-August, and we're still talking about stretches for Gleyber. Goes to show you where he is. Also, a 746 OPS over his last 31 is one of his better stretches of the season. Goes to show you how bad he's been. Because that's not really a crazy number. And DJ, I don't expect, like, he's been hitting better lately. But he's old. We've seen this before. We've seen him have decent stretches. He's old. He's banged up. It's common sense. Use your brain. 2019 is so far removed. I'm not Gleyber and DJ. It's nice that they're hitting now. I just think they are who they've been for this team this year. It's just a good stretch. But Jazz, Wells, Stanton, it's good to see those guys produce outside of Soto and Judge now. Verdugo has been better the last couple weeks, right? And again, the track record is there with him. He can hit, but like we haven't seen it this year. So I don't really know what's up with him, He was hot for a while, then, he got into this little bit of a rut, a hitless stretch. Now he's kind of getting lukewarm again. They're batting him leadoff against right-handed pitching. They actually put him leadoff in all 3 games this series. He's got a 271 average when he bats leadoff. Nothing else really stands out numbers-wise at leadoff. He's actually best when he bats 7th. So I'd like to see him down there. But yeah, like the only guys who are struggling right now in the lineup, you're getting struggling at-bats from Volpe and Rice. Excuse me. I'm starting to lose my voice. So what we're going to do is, no, we'll toughen this out. Volpe and Rice. I would like for just one of them to start hitting, right? Volpe was hot. The post-All-Star break, Volpe was a thing for a bit. He was hot. But that's kind of just within the snap of a finger vanished. He's now on a stretch where he's 0 for his last 22, I think it is. And you just watch him at the plate, and he just doesn't look good. He's chasing outside pitches again. Just bad at-bats. He's swinging at garbage. These at-bats where his helmet's flying off mid-swing. He's fouling off mediocre fastballs. He was getting under a few of them today. And he's not walking. Not walking at all. That's usually an indicator of a guy seeing the ball well. But this is who Anthony Volpe's been his entire career so far. He's way too streaky of a player for me to get a true judgment on him right now. When he's good, he's really good. When he's bad, he's really bad. And there are these long stretches of extremes. I'm still holding out hope that he can be a really good middle infielder for them. Maybe year 3 to year 5, Volpe can be what like Jazz Chisholm is, right? 260, 770 OPS, got like good defense, speed, and doing that at shortstop with the Gold Glove that he has, that's a huge win. If he can turn out to be a shortstop version of Jazz Chisholm from the right side of the plate, that's a win. But I don't know. He's just too streaky to tell. He's such a streaky player. People talking about, oh, well, look, Volpe stopped slap hitting and he's changing his swing. He never changed his swing. The swing's been the same way all season. It's been, a lot flatter than it was last year. It's just about the approach. So I would like for him to start hitting. That'd be huge. Ben Rice, the numbers are getting worse and worse. He's batting 198 now. The OPS is still league average, but a lot of it is bad luck. You look at his Savant page, it just says he's hitting into bad luck. He's hitting the ball hard. but he's had some bad at bats, and you look at the big league breaking ball, curveballs, sliders, they've given him a tough time. So it was good to see him pick up a base hit in game 1 of the doubleheader against a slider. But the big league breaking ball has definitely given Ben Rice a tough time. And that's something I'm keeping my eye on. But he's going to have to hit soon, because pretty soon Rizzo's going to be back. And I'm really concerned that the Yankees are going to see that as like an opportunity to bring him right back in there if Rice is still struggling. I want to talk about the bullpen, because it's a little scary and not in a good way. And we'll talk about the bullpen as soon as we return from our second break here on the show. Stay with us here on BD4. We'll be right back.
You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4. If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
All right. I want to talk about this Yankee bullpen for a little bit. This is really where my concern lies. I look at everything else about this team and I have some questions, but I can get over some of these things. The one thing I'm really having trouble getting over is the randomness of this bullpen. Like, there are a lot of rejects and randoms and guys who've been DFA'd from other ball clubs in this Yankee bullpen that are now relied on so much. And I just don't trust the bullpen full of randoms. And like, I brought up this point so much this year, but like, the whole Cashman finds a random, Matt Blake turns him into a stud. That's great, but you can only do that so much. And I feel like it's a little too much this year. It's pushing Blake to make him look bad. Like Mark Leiter comes in here as the big acquisition in the pen. Is that really enough? Like, this guy's got a very unimpressive track record. He hasn't been great here, to be honest. I get the stuff, the splitter, like the underlying metrics give you some hope, The splitter looks good. He's got some swing and miss. But like, getting swing and misses with that splitter in the NL Central is one thing. He's in the American League East. He's in the best division in baseball doing this. It's a different fucking ball game, And you look at his other pitches, like the fastball, the velo sits in the 14th percentile. His sinker's got low velocity to it. It gets banged around. I don't know if I could trust Mark Leiter to be a savior in the bullpen. This guy, the other guy they got, De Los Santos, so far he's been fine, but he's got an unimpressive track record. His underlying metrics don't even look good or say that he's going to be some good pitcher. You got other guys in the pen. Tommy Kahnle, I don't know, like the numbers somehow look really good. He's got a 1.98 ERA, but the metrics look good too. And like, I don't know. I don't trust Tommy Kahnle. Clay Holmes, it's obvious with him. We've discussed this plenty of times. It's the same shit. It always is. He puts traffic on the bases. He's got up and down command. He lets up a lot of soft contact that finds holes because he's a sinker baller. And you just never know with him. He's either filthy or he's way off. Very Chapman-like. I think Clay Holmes is best for the setup role. Less pressure. The game's not going to end if he allows a couple hits, and you can go to another relief pitcher if Clay Holmes doesn't have it, so like put him in the 7th inning. You know, the numbers support Clay Holmes is better in the 7th and 8th than he is the 9th inning or later. But I have questions with Clay Holmes as a Yankee closer. I don't see him closing out a championship. I just can't. When I close my eyes, I can't envision that. You know, you've got some guys who I've got trust in, like Michael Tonkins. It's been a while for Michael Tonkin. He's been a Yankee since the Milwaukee series. That dates way back. And he's been very good. He's got a nice sinker. He's got this lankiness to him. He's hard to hit because of the delivery and the way he hides. He looks good. Luke Weaver, rough series for him. Game 1 was rough, or game 2, or whatever that was. Maybe you see the Yankees kind of, you know, we've used him a lot. We want to lessen the workload down the stretch to prep him for October. Do you see a phantom DL, or maybe you just see less of a workload? But he's too valuable to lose, right? The Yankees, we know they value rest over winning. So I wouldn't be shocked if they just went easy with him in this final month and a half, because he's really important for the bullpen. His changeup is a damn weapon. His fastball's got a lot of life to it. This is a guy who entered today's game with a 2.80, or not today, whatever it was, entered this weekend with a 2.80-something ERA before the implosion on Saturday. So, Tonkin has been good. Weaver has been good. But, like, then who? You know? Cousins is earning trust. Like, it's been a little bit now. Cousins looks good. Guy's got a filthy slider. That thing is nasty. So he's earning some trust, but it's still iffy there because we don't know Jake Cousins. We don't know him. His track record's nothing special. You know, Tim Hill, left-handed pitcher, different arm angle with the submarine style. He's also earning trust. He's pitched well since he's come here, but it's also iffy because we don't know him. His track record's nothing special. His stuff is super underwhelming. He's 34 years old. He throws 89 miles an hour. Like, you know what I mean? There are no Dellin Betanceses. There are no Andrew Millers or, you know, Chapman when he first came over. You don't have guaranteed studs anymore here. You have projects who you hope can be good. It's very iffy. You know, Holmes, Leiter, Santos, even Kahnle and Cousins. Like, I don't know. A lot of names here. I don't know. And that makes me very nervous for October because it's a bullpen's game in 2024. Starting pitchers no longer go 6-7 innings. In the playoffs, they go even less than 5. So this might be why the Yankees go home early in October. And that sucks because this was supposed to be the strength of their team. You know, the bullpen's always the Yankees' strength. It's always the bullpen. But there's just not enough swing and miss in there. There's not enough left-handed pitching in there. Now, you're relying on guys like Scott Efros, Ian Hamilton, Lou Trevino to come back and be saviors. I don't know. That's also a little scary to me. 2 guys who haven't pitched in forever. 1 guy who keeps going on the DL because he's been overused. You know, I think if there's one solution or one thing that could help, use Ron Marinaccio. Ron Marinaccio, give him a roster spot over Santos or Leiter. Hell, like, I don't know. I feel like Ron Marinaccio's been good. As a matter of fact, I'm going to hand him my respect here and tip my cap to Ron Marinaccio. Oh, wrong graphic here on the screen. Ron Marinaccio, I'm tipping my cap to you. 2 1/3 innings in game 1 of this series. No runs, 3 strikeouts, 1 single. 32 pitches. He looked good, and he continues to look good. He's now got 3 cap tips. Use Ron Marinaccio. Call him back up and keep him here. Every time he comes up, he eats innings, gets outs, and they send him down. Like, they just use him for a bunch because they know they're going to demote him after. But he does a nice job. His 4-seam's a weapon. Doesn't have the highest velo to it. It's low velo 4-seam, but it's got good spin, and it's netted good results in his career. His sweeper's a nice pitch, too. He uses it sparingly, but it's been an effective pitch for him. And that changeup. The last couple seasons, the changeup's kind of been hit around, but it's got nice movement to it. I want to see him use that changeup more against right-handed batters. You know? Opponents bat 179 from the right side of the plate against his changeup versus 224 from the left. Use that changeup. You know, he uses it against righties going into the right-handed pitcher. That's a good pitch. sometimes he'll leave it up. It gets into a bad spot, so it'll get slugged. But it's all about command. Pair that changeup with your four-seamer. It's a good pitch. I like Ron Marinaccio. He comes up and he does his job all the time. And they just demote him. He's a guy who could be a weapon. So I would like to see him back up. We'll see. But yeah, this bullpen kind of scares me. I'll tell you what I'm confident in. I'm pretty confident in this Yankee rotation. You know, I'm pretty confident in it. I wouldn't say 100% confident, but I think like most people, I feel like unlike most Yankees fans, I have some confidence in it. I think between Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Luis Gil, and Clark Schmidt, that's your playoff four. Are there questions there? Yeah. Cole's got to be right. Schmidt's got to be stretched out. Rodon, we're going to need some consistency, right? That's going to be a big talking point the rest of the season is Rodon's consistency in this final month and a half. Luis Gil, you question the experience. You question, obviously, the workload. How's that going to be? You know, I worry about Aaron Boone mismanaging the pitching staff. And you just, like, in general, will the Yankees push the right buttons to make those guys your playoff four? Because you still got Nestor Cortez, who's got long-term ties with this team now. You got Marcus Stroman on that contract. So, like, I can see them trying to push Schmidt or Gil in the bullpen because of their arm. So, they got to push the right buttons for this rotation to be what it can be. But the ceiling's very possible. Like, Cole can easily be Garrett Cole. Schmidt was their best starting pitcher when he was healthy. Rodon is a dog, right? He's capable of being an ace on any day. And then Gil's got this untouchable fastball. This guy can be electric in a postseason atmosphere. You can imagine him getting a big win in Yankee Stadium with these strikeouts, just getting the crowd roaring. Like, you could see the ceiling, the upside that this rotation can be. So I'm not totally down on the rotation. I'm actually pretty confident on them. And there's a knock on them, I feel like, around Yankees fans on the internet. Like, they don't go deep into the games. Technically, they do. They're sixth in innings pitched. It's more modern baseball. It feels like they don't go deep because in today's era, nobody goes deep. But they go deep than more than 24 other teams with their staff. So the Yankee bullpen's only 16th in innings pitched. So the Yankee starters go deep into games relative to the rest of the league. I have confidence if they push the right buttons. After that is where I get concerned. That bullpen really starts to scare me. There are some under the radar struggles too I want to hit on. Some things I didn't really, I never really brought this up this year, but it's kind of become louder lately. The Yankees versus left-handed pitching has been an issue this year. Entering today's game, so this does not include today's game 3, they have a 12-17 record against left-handed starting pitchers. And the numbers against left-handed pitching entering today's game were 233 batting average and a 709 OPS. So they've had troubles versus lefties. I can't point to why, because Judge and Soto can hit lefties. And they have a good balance of righty-lefty in there. But they're just not left-handed pitching. I can't imagine Torres or Verdugo hits lefties very well. DJ's batting in the 190s. Rice is batting in the 190s. I can't imagine they're hitting lefties very well. The Yankees aren't hitting left-handed pitching. I don't know if it's a concern to me yet. I mean, it's late in the season, but I don't know if I'm like looking at that as like that's why they're going to go home in October. But it's something to just think about. And then they're not winning at home. Kay mentioned during the telecast today, I think he said 1-7-1 in their last 9 home series. I do know that they're 32-27 on the season at home, which is not good. 542 ball at home. You're the Yankees. Yankee Stadium's supposed to be where you kill it. Now, I'm not really concerned about that at all because I just feel like I live 25 minutes from the Bronx. I've seen that crowd carry the Yankees to wins in the playoffs. It's an atmosphere that is unmatched. You know, I went to the wild card game in 2017. Didi Gregorius propelled the Yankees. That crowd propelled the Yankees to 8 runs. After that Didi home run in the first inning, that crowd was roaring the rest of the way, and they helped I really firmly believe that crowd helped the Yankees score in 3 consecutive innings after that home run. I really believe come playoff time, the Yankees will have no issues at home. So I don't really have too much concern on that 32-27 record, but it is annoying. That's that though. The Yankees now go on the road. Actually, they're done at home for a little bit. They will be on the road this week with a real chance to do some damage. They've got one absolutely horrid team in the Chicago White Sox, and then they got a pretty bad team in the Detroit Tigers. But they've got the Chicago White Sox up next, a terrible, abominable baseball team. They are 28-91 on the year. So they are in last place by 41.5 games. They just recently ended a 22-game losing streak. So they are an awful team who deserve no respect. And that's a team the Yankees really need to sweep. Monday, tomorrow, you got Luis Seal going up against Kai Busch. Busch is a rookie southpaw with 4 major league innings of experience. So the Yankees need to handle him. Tuesday, though, you've got Nestor Cortez versus Jonathan Cannon. So if the Yankees are to lose one game in the series, it could be game 2. Cannon's had a pretty strong rookie season, and Nestor Cortez sucks. And then Wednesday, you've got Davis Martin on the mound for the White Sox, who missed all of last season and has only thrown 12 1/3 innings this year. So this is a series the Yankees need to sweep. So they've got that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're off Thursday, and then they have a weekend series Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Tigers, who are 56-63, 4th place in that same division by 13.5 games. I think the Yankees should try to aim for 5-1, sweep Chicago, take 2 from Detroit. Go 5-1. If they really want to do some damage in the American League East, 5-1 is probably what you need to do. You know, Baltimore is off tomorrow, so they've got a chance, the Yankees, to gain a half game. But then they have a series against Washington and then Boston. So Boston's on their tail a little bit. Boston's been losing too. So things are getting interesting, folks. Things are getting very interesting in the AL East. The AL East remains the best division in baseball, and it seems like it's going to be that way again. So I think that's all we got. We're about an hour and 10 minutes in, so we'll wrap this up when we return from our final break here on BD4, episode 700. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a minute. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
All right, welcome back to the show. We will wrap this thing up. Just a minute. First, we're going to get to our trivia question of the day for episode 700 here. Let's get into our trivia, and then we'll wrap it up from there. Okay. So, In this episode, our trivia question of the day. How many 100-win regular seasons have there been in Yankees history? How many 100-win regular seasons have there been in Yankees history? All right, let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. But, folks, that's it. I appreciate you all tuning in. Episode 700 is in the books of BD4. Appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. Maybe you're watching the video version of the podcast on YouTube. Regardless of where you are, I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next show. Episode 700 is in the books. I'll see you all in 701. Go Yankees. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees, and go Knicks!